What's up, guys? So today I'm going to be doing a review of Fairy Tail chapter 368, the latest chapter just released. I have it here on my iTouch. So the plan is I'm going to read it out. I've already read the chapter, but we're doing a page by page because I thought this was actually quite the solid chapter. Now, before I get started, I want to do an announcement. I made up my mind a few hours ago that Fairy Tail, I think I will just be doing from now on a semi-regular basis, on the extent to whether I choose to or not. So long story short, I am effectively dropping the series. I'm sorry, guys, but my heart just isn't into it. I like reading the chapters, and quite honestly, I was surprised after I made my decision, because this chapter was actually pretty darn solid. But um, a lot of the chapters before, my heart just was not into it. I like reading it, but quite honestly, um, it's sort of, to be truly honest, sort of depresses me in a way, because it's like, come on, what am I doing reading this stuff when it's like the half the chapters like semi porn that's teasing me. And I mean, I could be out in the real world and actually doing something and actually meeting girls and trying to get better. It just sort of depresses me, you know. If you guys know about my main channel, I talk about this a lot. um, and I talk about how I need to work on just meeting girls in general. I mean, I'm graduating college very soon now, and in terms of real girls, I mean, not so good. So it sort of has like hidden implications when I read it. So um, this may be sad news for some of you guys, but you know, from time to time, if I do have some free time, which I think I will more or less, I will do an occasional review here and there. And that doesn't mean I'm dropping the manga entirely. I'll probably be casually reading up on the latest chapters from here to there. So that's what I have to say about this. So let's get started on this review. So first off, I felt that, you know, at the cliffhanger in the last chapter, it seemed like his red eyes meant that he was being controlled or manipulated, or he was evil now. But then he comes in and just starts talking naturally to these guys, saying stuff like, I lost Lisana, I can't believe this. And then I'm like, okay, maybe he just has like allergies or something, or maybe he's just depressed. That's a new way for the author to illustrate this. So maybe it's just this new thing, but it doesn't quite click for some reason. And then we find out later, spoiler alert, that yeah, this guy is being macroed and he's being manipulated into placing this pretty much bomb into the Fairy Tail Guild. Do I truly think that Fairy Tail will not escape this bomb and survive? Not at all. Why? Because of the nature of this manga series. It's a very cheap or easy way of sort of predicting what's going to happen. Like, the author is not going to kill off these characters like so. And then we got Kana here, who just goes balls deep. She's just ridiculously like mean. She's like, wow, you couldn't even stop this guy, you can't even do this, you could turn into a beast, but you can't even follow and track down the guy who stole Lisana from you. And it's like, whoa, where did this come from? And this is actually like pretty good, because it's realistic. I've done it before, honestly. It's like an angry outburst that's irrational, despite knowing that Elfman did everything he could to stop Lisana. It wasn't enough. Then we see the flashback, and it turns out that he did know where Lisana was, and he was able to track him down, but he knew he could not beat this guy, and he got controlled by a macro. So he was in complete control. And By the way, Kana is just really attractive. I wish I could meet a girl like that in real life. Oh my goodness. You can see why I don't even know about this anymore. Um, if you guys want to talk about it, I mean, check out my main YouTube channel. There's a link in this channel's description. You just click my name below and then go to the about section, which will have a link to my main channel. I talk about it a lot on there, but yeah. Anyhow, yeah, honestly, you know, Kana's very attractive, especially the way she dresses, the way she looks. Very attractive girl. Uh, More so though, we get on with the series, and I'm quite confused as to who this horn creature is, who has this macro technique. Is she the new and improved form of that girl who was captured and changed by the organization, Tartaros? Or is she still being changed and this is just one of the demons of Tartaros who was originally a demon? I think it's the latter. But she looks really cool, honestly. Um, let's move on now. So Elfman is being completely controlled. I don't think the bomb thing will go through, just based on how it works out in Fairy Tail. They'll probably get injured, they'll probably just survive and recover. Then we got page 11 of this chapter. I thought was amazing. One thing about Fairy Tail is they have the proportions on females down perfect. In my opinion, the bodily proportions are perfect in Fairy Tail almost constantly. One Piece, although better than most manga, their females are kind of like weird. Like their necks are like this, like paper thin. Their waists are like pencil thin. It's off. It's off. The breasts, the bosoms are like too large and abnormally shaped, like too ovular. It's weird. It's weird. But Fairy Tail, I mean, very few complaints. Even with Natsu, I mean, honestly, it's just so realistic in my opinion. Although I do think he does have some problems when drawing the male figures. I mean, it's kind of unrealistic in a way. Like the way Natsu's abs. Not that I'm looking, no homo. Natsu's abs, they're just. It's not realistic. It's like a flat like like what do you call those things? Washing boards. It just doesn't look it doesn't look like what real abs would look like. But as far as females goes, I mean, there's never any complaints. Lysana looks spectacular. I would love to meet a girl like that in real life. But I mean, there's another thing with Fairy Tail. Like most of the girls are fairly attractive. Mira Jane in her demon form, not so attractive, personally. But Mira Jane and especially Urza and even Lysana, I don't like her hair that much, but her figure, splendid. And who else? There's this one girl I don't like. It's the girl that Elfman has a crush on with the glasses. Like I just don't get, like personally I just never like glasses on girls unless they can rock it, and unless the glasses aren't like the nerdy type, which is kind of like hypocritical because look at me, I'm wearing them. But it is true, like whoever that girl is, I think the glasses, and even without her glasses, it's just that sort of facial feature I don't like it about her. But they do a great job of this. I think in a way, for those of you who aren't, you know, bound or depressed by every occurrence of these girls in bare nudity in these panels, I'm sure it's a great thing for you. I mean, I got a comment the other day on a Fairy Tail recent video, and it was pretty much like, yeah, the author chooses to do this because he knows the readers enjoy a little eye candy now and then. And I'm like, I kind of understand it, because in that video I sort of went overboard trashing it. And I don't know. For me, it's just like the stereotype behind these sort of manga readers. I'm going to be honest. It's like the pervert loser who has no action. And then I feel like the bigger stereotype, at least the stereotype I feel, is that these people just like, if you were to tell them that, they'd get all defensive and make up some lame excuse as to why that's true. And for me, like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get into Fairy Tail because of this. Like, I got into it because I thought it'd be as good as One Piece. And each time I see these panels nowadays, it just reminds me of my scarcity with girls. So for me, this again, it's a long story, and I don't want to get too deep into it. But the gist is, I'm dropping Fairy Tail, more or less. I'm going to, maybe I'll do a couple reviews here and there when I have free time. Maybe I'll keep up reading it. But let's continue on. So I mean, I can see it. Like, if I had a girlfriend, or maybe not even a girlfriend, just like abundance, I can see myself just objectively enjoying this manga. Don't get me wrong. So now we get to this strange guy, this ice demon slayer, and the way he mentions himself, and the way he calls Lisana as princess, my little princess, and then he mentions in his bio to himself, Natsu of all people. This guy he's either like someone from the future, or maybe Gray from the future, but then Gray and Juvia, I mean, that would mean no. This could be Lisana's father, and I don't think that's been revealed. Lisana's father. This could be Lisana's father, and that's how he knows Gray and so forth. It's either that, or maybe I think that's the most probable theory. But otherwise, it's either that, or this is Gray from the future, or Gray from the future. That's the only other thing I can think of. Then we got this corrupt chancellor, this council head, who for whatever reason, like, he wants money, so he's doing all this crap for money. I mean, doesn't he have enough? He's like the head of the Magic Council, probably one of the richest in the land. Spent his years striving for goodness, and now he's turned a new leaf for evil, for money, which he's probably not going to get. He's going to get backstabbed in the end. But here we have a great depiction, and this picture must have taken forever to draw. It's like this ridiculous city, and then they're on top of this huge tower that has a huge staircase of about 50, 100, 1,000 meters behind them that probably they had to climb in order to get to these things. By the way, those stairs are not as easy as they look. I've walked up certain stairs like that in China, and like, if you look back, or if you like trip, you're falling all the way down. It's not an easy sight. Anyhow, so they are actually on this thing, and he is like he's tracking Jalal with his like data thing. And then we get to page 15, and there we have Urza being tortured. I actually thought this was a good change of pace, because I complained a lot in Fairy Tail before about how it being too simplistic, too lovey-dovey, and so forth. So again, Urza's figure, fairly great. Never had any complaints with that. And so it's a change of pace, because now a member is being severely tortured. Like, that's a drop of a different flavor for Fairy Tail. It's like, this sort of bad stuff can happen. Like, good people can be horrendously tortured and in pain. Although it's somewhat uncanny how Urza's just constantly like, it's no, well, she's obviously feeling pain, but it's not really a problem for her. So page 17, she's just not giving up. Page 18, we got Jalal fighting the crew, and lo and behold, Zero wakes up, fires this ridiculous sort of beam, and I love these sort of beams. I think I've seen them in DBZ. I don't know where they come from, but it's like that main beam and then like a spiral beams surrounding it. It just looks really cool. It hits Jalal like the idiot he is. You know, at first I thought he was like, now he's so much stronger than before and he's so much better, but nope. One beam, boom, he gets hit by it, and from there he has a hole in his chest. Do I think Jalal is going to die? I'll bet you that he will survive. I mean, he's just a main character. Fairy Tail won't do that. What it will do, and it is doing now, is just playing that off like, oh, will he die? Oh my gosh, he's going to die. Things are going to be ruined. And he's going to survive in the next chapter. They just like these cliffhanger things. So, we got Jalal on the floor, all bloodied up. And the final thing is just like the Chancellor looking shocked at the screen and then pretty much saying, I just did better than finding Jalal. And honestly, I don't think that makes logical sense because he didn't actually participate in killing Jalal. But I guess he did find Jalal and find out he was dead, so whatever. And then we also have a panel where Zero just, while Jalal is on the ground with a huge hole in his chest, he just smashes in, and then there's like rocks flying everywhere. He smashes Jalal into pieces accordingly based on the panel, and he says something like, that's the icing on the cake, ha 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 ha. If you guys don't know, Zero is the stronger alter ego form of that guy. And finally, I do have to retract one of my statements I made earlier in a later video from before, where I said that what was the point of doing all this if they weren't trying to kill this guy, because they knew he'd wake up later and probably transform into his alter ego form and wreak havoc and seek revenge, because it appeared to me like he wasn't really going for the kill and he just knocked that guy unconscious. And it didn't make sense because, like, really, like in Fairy Tail, like, whoever actually dies. And there is a little bit more of, like, I have to retract that, because there is that one thing in this panel where I forgot his name, but the Dragon Slayer dude who's fighting Jalal, he says, what I thought, and let me get to the exact page, but it was like, what I thought I killed him, and he was talking about Zero. So I had to retract the claim that he wasn't going for the kill earlier. He actually was. And so, okay, he says that bastard survived. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about Fairy Tail. The final thing is that, you know, in certain ways there has been deaths in Fairy Tail, like in the last few chapters where the demons of Tartarus, their rampage had actually caused a tremendous amount of death in the townsfolk in the villages where they were looking to kill off council members. So that is true in fact, but still, yeah, we haven't seen any big deaths, and it's I think it's not too big a problem. I mean, I think in the long run we all want all these people alive. I think the biggest thing though is the biggest fallacy for me in terms of Fairy Tail is the fact that, like, there's no real, like, standard and, you know, indication of how damaged someone is in Fairy Tail, because constantly you'll see like tremendous injuries, and then like later on they'll brush it off and they'll be like A-okay, 100% healed or 99% healed, and it's like there's no standard. Whereas in DBZ and other manga, there's always a standard. Like once they're severely injured, they stay severely injured, and it's more realistic. Like you see blood dripping out of them. There's a hole in his chest. He doesn't just keep talking out of his mouth constantly. And I predict that's going to be what happens with Jalal. Like you in this chapter, you saw his whole blown through, and then just his face and body just smashed in by constant punches that pretty much blow up the rock around him and send the rocks flying in shattered pieces. And then probably next chapter he'll be, I don't think he'll be fully healed, but for some reason or other his whole face is intact, his whole body's intact. There may be a little blood. He still may have his hole in his chest. He may exhibit a few bruises, but that's it. And I mean, compared to Bleach, that's just unrealistic. Anyhow, Fairy Tail and my Fairy Tail viewers, stay tuned, because don't give up all hope. Maybe I feel like what's going to happen is I'm just going to casually do reviews here and there. But that's it for that. And if you have any thoughts or discussion on anything, leave your comments.